doubters, doubters. To those who don't believe, this is the hour, hour. You'll see that we'll make ladders out of obstacles and stepping stones from roadblocks. Slip over the lines to say we won't cross, but you can't hands like they're nothing. They won't see us coming. Scale all of the walls they built to hold us. We may be invisible, but we'll be unmistakable. We may be invisible. They may be blind to me, just wait and see. All the haters, haters, those filled with jealousy, the naysayers, payers for defeat. But we'll make ladders out of obstacles and stepping stones from roadblocks. Slip over the lines to say we won't cross, but you can't hands like they're nothing. They won't see us coming. Scale all of the walls they built to hold us. We may be invisible, but we'll be unmistakable. We may be invisible. They may be blind to me, just wait and see.
The ultimate things in life are free, and we're keeping it that way. Subscribe to keep up with the latest games, tournaments, and community content. Share it with your team and friends, and drop a like to help spread Ultimate to more people. Spread the word, spread the love.
Shannon picks up, and they've got a short field. They've got another goal. It's tied up at 12. I cannot believe what I'm seeing.
Can Lola Dam chase that one down? That is a score for Hartlicker Elferkel. Fantastic run by Julia Love.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge.
And we believe that requires knocking down the paywall.
We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch, and we want them to go viral.
When you become a member, you enable us to improve our working relationships with tournament organisers, events and federations.
And you'll help us to produce live stories for Ultimate fans, and to generate new fans with our enhanced content.
We are a group of Ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts, and we want to bring you coverage on a more consistent basis. We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Ciao ragazzi, support the community.
Let's subscribe Ulti TV. There's lots of the videos, posting, everything. Check it out. They are the best one. Woo!
If you want to grow Ultimate Sports, become a member of Ulti TV.
Regardez Ulti TV.
Deviens membre d'Ulti TV.
et fait grandir ta communauté.
Stop Ulte TV dalymi ir auginkime Ultimate bendruomenę.
Si quieres ayudar a Ulti TV, puedes ser miembro de Ulti TV.
Everyone follow Ulti.tv on Instagram, on YouTube. They've got everything.
Best content.
Like their pictures if you love free speech. Let's do it.
We're counting on you.
Bli medlem på Alltid TV.
Game member
of Ulti TV.
Mamma mia.
Contribue au développement d'Ultimate avec Ulti TV.
Like and subscribe, Ulti TV, the best in the world.
We want to grow Ultimate.
We want to grow Ultimate. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We have our signature style 2-camera setup,
with thousands of hours of experience.
and our crew is globally dispersed to facilitate coverage everywhere around the world. We can also scale back our broadcast with just one elevated camera, or scale up with 2 fields, 2 cameras, and 2 commentators on each.
We work with local teams and we all have the same mission, to grow the sport and bring it to new people by providing live coverage and news stories.
Become a member today on our Patreon page.
And fund our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories, ideas and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
As the jaunty Irish music fades away, welcome back to the University of Limerick, the site of the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships. Last game of the day for us here, and we're in the Grandmasters Open Division. It is semi-final time. On pitch 11, our other stream field, which I highly recommend you just kind of second screen, you can see Surly Grandmasters going up against Johnny Walker. But here on this pitch, we are streaming FIGJAM of Canada up against Black Cans and Highlands from the USA. It's a pleasure to have you along with us for the last time on this Thursday. My name is Benjamin Rees, and I am joined by the Irish King of Commentary, Lorcan Murray.
It is a pleasure to be with you in the booth, Benji, waiting all week for this, the business end of the tournament, some top quality action, and of course a good time with my good friend Benji. This is going to be sensational, as we see they're just sending the disc down there. That isn't an opening pull, as it will be Black Cans starting off on offense. Black Cans have made it a very exciting tournament so far, as they have lost a Universe Point game to Quarantine, won a Universe Point game against Tombstone, beat Silence 15-10 earlier on in the quarterfinal, and previously in pool play actually played FIGJAM and managed to beat them on Universe Point. That's 3 Universe Point games so far in this tournament, so it is going to be quite the battle. Black Cans like to make it exciting. On the other side of it, FIGJAM have actually lost, obviously, that first one, but lost another Universe Point game to Tombstone, as well as having some close games. They managed to take it to Quarantine and beat them quite convincingly, 15-8, and then of course winning 15-12 against Shadows in their quarterfinal. So an intense matchup against 2 well-matched teams here in the Grandmaster division, and I cannot wait to see how it plays out.
Showing the quality, depth and parity in this division. Here we go, starting out on offense are the Americans, Black Cans and Highlands, coming from the DC area. Just popping that one off, it rises a little bit, but it's reeled in by Sigelman. Over to the far sideline. Horowitz looks, turns, goes infield to Miller. Miller continues. Hale, oh, there's a player down on the ground for FIGJAM.
Setting the tone early. Of course, that's a little bit of incidental contact. These are 2 very highly spirited teams.
Yeah, I'm sure we can expect an intense physical matchup, but I don't think, well, I hope it certainly anyway, doesn't go over the line. think both teams certainly respect each other, and they know what a battle they could be in for today, especially if that universe point game in the pool stage is anything to go by.
It'll be interesting to see how the teams make adjustments following that. FIGJAM had a couple of players who were unavailable for that matchup. They have returned to the squad. Of course, they then had a couple of players who were playing in that matchup who have had to leave. So it adds an extra dimension that Blackhands aren't as familiar with.
Yeah, just changing those matchups slightly, seeing maybe you can find some others that work in your favour. Stall count rising, gets it past the bid to Miller. O'Connell picks himself back up to put the mark on. Horowitz again coming underneath, overthrow, and maybe a miscommunication. I think Fransel was coming out of there. Can FIGJAM break to start this game? Bernard with a rising stall count, sees no option but to put it deep. And, well, it's a little bit of a... I'm not going to say it because I'll get censored underneath the disc, but it results in a turn in the end. And looking off an open underpass to jack it straight into the hands of a FIGJAM player, and then the run through D gets it back from Hale. This game has got off to a frenetic pace.
That's one way of describing it.
I mean, it is all gas, no brakes out here at the moment, so for better and for worse. This one leading throw into the end zone. Layout bid on the defense, doesn't get there and hit the ground hard.
So that's Aaron Koenig, who's gone down. Big bid, but when two players come at the same point on acute angles, you're going to find some physical contact. And in the Grandmasters division, unfortunately, there are some pretty lasting repercussions for some of the knocks we've seen.
Yeah, I think both sides were kind of honest in the assessment that, you know, when you get to this late in the week, it's a little bit of a war of attrition.
It remains to be seen. I imagine doing most things, once you clear 40, becomes a bit of a war of attrition.
Mate, I'm not even 30 and everything's a war of attrition, so I absolutely get it.
If it's a war, I'm losing.
That's the worrying thing, yeah.
So here we're going to have another look. That was the
earlier drop, and that one, whoa, zinged it into a window I did not see exists. And Sigelman catches for the opening score. It's a hold for Blackhands, but it was a very topsy-turvy point.
Yeah, just about a hold, Benji. A lot of turnovers, a lot of dubious puts, but a lot of great defense. One of the turnovers was, as we have another quick look here, there's the nippy little put, going for the backhand break, committing to gravity in order to get it off through two players, and that is a fantastic snag by Adam Siegelman.
I think we might see this a lot, where you're throwing to players who are not necessarily massively open. And it's, you know, having trust to use that presence and field awareness to box out your opponent.
I feel like it's a matter of a business decision. You just got to think, I'm far more likely at this level, this age, to be able to get a throw into a tight window than be able to lead some of these players. It's difficult to get separation, and a lot of the action is going to be thrower-led, which is interesting to see. Hopefully slightly less turnovers, though, as that was frenetic, as you described it. I would have described it as something else that I would get censored for saying.
From an offensive point, not the most aesthetically pleasing we've seen at these championships.
Maybe a bit of nerves in this semi-final clash.
Yeah, nerves, intensity, whatever it is. It's you can tell that there's a little bit more on the line here. So first offensive point here for FIGJAM. Donald going short to Thornton. Thornton downfield, coming back towards the discus Dobson. Dobson goes down the sideline, squeezes it to Russell. Russell down the line, lovely leading pass there. Back into the hands of Thornton, and there's a player down in the centre of the park. I think maybe a pick as players crossing over each other.
We've seen a lot of picks called here today as the pitch gets tighter and tighter and people keep trying to attack this space. All this action by FIGJAM has been down the line.
And they are more than happy to squeeze it into that space if need be. Now they're pivoting, that inward pivot, to try and open up the centre of the park, and instead they lead it down the line anyway. And again, we're seeing that there is throws going into exceedingly tight windows.
So that's Kunekel, who got the catch. He's going to argue that he was fouled out of bounds, and that's what caused the turnover.
I mean, there are 3 players in a space where it is tough to maybe even get one. Seeing it juggled and popped up back in the air.
Well, he definitely never had control, so it has to be about the contact is what dislodged him.
Yeah, it's not a strip. He never had control of it. It's also not a force out because he didn't make the catch. What it is, I'm not sure. You can see that well, you actually can't see because they're slightly out of shot, but we have game advisors. We're in the green jerseys. They're not referees, because Ultimate is, of course, self-refereed. They are there to help keep time limits, to provide perspectives and clarifications on rules, but they cannot make binding judgments.
That's the crucial difference between them and game observers.
Yeah, they will never interfere unless asked.
And then they're just all about it.
Right, they love it. Shout out to all the game advisors and the other volunteers, 120 volunteers from 20 different countries, helping to make this event a success. In addition to the excellent Limerick organising crew. Short pass to Thornton, getting it a little bit off the line. There's the inside window there, on the edge of the end zone, and the simple pop from Wilkes finds Russell, and it's 1 apiece.
Really great offensive work by FIGJAM. I am a little bit concerned by how tight the space they operated in. The wind isn't gusting that much, but right now they are really jamming it in to, well, let's just say certain spaces. They get away with it in the end, but you saw 3 players in a row had to ground check it. Well, didn't have to. Ground checked it coming in, just showing you how close they are to the sideline. And then at the end, that was a beautiful backhand break to a stationary player, finding that very small gap in the defense as it was clamping down. But you don't want to rely on that game long, Benji. That is something that's going to lead to some turnovers. It's just a matter of time. It'd be great to see them, especially with their throwing capabilities, take on that force, break it, and get a couple of swings. Admittedly, the wind, when it does decide to gust up, as temperamental as it is coming from the far sideline to the near sideline, as we're going to have another quick look at this lovely little backhand break.
Yeah, it just sits in that space there, the presence of mind to recognise I don't need to keep working because I'm already free. They're giving me this space, so I'm going to stay here, trust that the thrower is going to be able to find me, and then the pop into the end zone makes it 1 apiece. Black Hands come back out on offense. This pool is deep and hangs. And the first pass is downfield to Miller. Miller goes towards the far sideline. That's where he finds Frenzel. Frenzel with a big gainer. High catch made by Worley. Worley resets to Miller. And then, lead throw into space. No. Didn't get enough on it. Frenzel lays out but doesn't get there. McLeod down the far sideline. Getien's not far away from the first break, but turns it over on the reset.
Trying to force it just a little bit there.
So a second opportunity here. Looking downfield. That throw is popping up. Not a problem for Horowitz. Horowitz goes back to Miller. Miller hammering over the top, and I think a slight misjudgment there from Carroll.
I think both these teams really feeling the effects of the week-long tournament.
As this huck goes deep, going to require some chasing towards the back of the end zone, and it just ran away from Staniforth.
I feel like Staniforth would have bid to bring that in if it was still in bounds. And it's nice to see FIGJAM trying to expand their play, but going for a dump swing, they've turned it over. Going for a huck, they've turned it over. Maybe an early timeout, take a breath, reassess. Things are not quite clicking the way we expected them to for these two teams right now.
They're going to bring it to the front of the end zone. Rather than call the timeout, they've got time to set themselves an offense, and they set up a deep look. Oh my word, Worley is wide open. No one even in the same zip code, and a lead throw for Otis Carroll. It's just too far out in front. Both players lay out, and we might have a call here.
So much space going deep. Really well set up, but then that leading pass, it looked perfect, and at the last second decided to drop out of the sky.
Uncontested foul. Otis Carroll has it on the end zone line pretty much. Turns, pivots, zips it in there into the hands of Horowitz, and Black Hands lead 2-1. But it hasn't been clean for them offensively.
It hasn't been clean for either team, but they are starting to expand their offensive options a little more. We saw some hooks from both sides. Hopefully they can tighten those up and be able to get this game a little bit closer. Right now, 2-1 after 12 minutes. Not quite, I imagine, what the people at home expected. Still plenty of excitement. And a nice, easy pop into the end zone for the score.
Hello to everyone watching this game on the World Flying Disc Federation YouTube channel. Whether you're here in Europe, maybe you're supporting Black Hands from the east side of the United States and you're 5 hours behind, so just early afternoon there, or you're 8 hours back on the west coast of Canada where FIGJAM are from, and it's kind of mid-morning for you. We welcome you to this broadcast on the World Flying Disc Federation YouTube channel, and if you want to get involved in the chat, make sure that you subscribe and make your presence known.
To both of those communities, you are very welcome to join us at this European stream, and don't worry, we won't tell your boss.
Maybe because your boss is here playing. Hey, we had it last game, it happens.
Hey, we want to make sure everybody at home cheering on is sending that energy, sending that love and positivity to their teams to help lift them above the challenges they face. The semi-final glory lies in wait for both these sides as we see FIGJAM pick up the disc.
We want to see chat pop off at some of these plays. On the mark, Thornton goes underneath, dished off. Very loud presence on the sidelines from Black Hands and Highlands. Slightly larger roster, trying to make every player felt. Thornton going towards the far sideline, throw rising, slightly caught by Hebert. Thornton rips it, going towards the far sideline. And the defender always have position, but if you don't catch your Ds, it doesn't matter how long you've been playing. That's what can happen. Takes advantage of the bidding defender to throw it over his head on the end zone line and dropped by Wilkes.
They get away with one there in these conditions, and maybe some of them aren't quite used to the blustery wind, but even then you have to catch your Ds. You never know what's going to pop up and what second life you might accidentally be resuscitating into the plastic on the defensive end.
Butterfoss did so well to get himself in that position, and that is such a tough read that Franco makes, and he dealt with it expertly. Now putting it to the end zone and doesn't get enough juice on it. And just in keeping with the game, no waiting around, pick it up, get it in play again. Doesn't matter that it's Grandmasters, just keep going. The engine on these players is immense. Thornton to the far sideline. Gets it back in his hands, happy to try and go every other. Now he wants to sit the inside break up. Brought down by Hebert. That was a tough catch. Past the bidding defender, open in the end zone. This time surely for FIGJAM, and it's 2-2. Oh, I need to catch my breath. It's all action here.
We need to explain to these teams what a war of attrition is, because this is far more akin to lightning. They don't want to rest, they don't want to break, they want to go quick and fast. And honestly, even with Black Hands, as you mentioned there during that point, they do have a larger roster. They are quite deep, so they're very happy to just keep putting out fresh lines and trying to run FIGJAM into the ground. Even with that being an offensive hold, I would say Black Hands are fairly okay with it, given the amount of work FIGJAM had to put in. They were grinding out a lot of unders, and then, as we have another look here, this was the shot. And it, what a grab. Lightning quick reflexes. Which is remarkable, because each bid might be your last, but you got to leave it all out here on the field when you're competing at this level. So here come Black Hands.
Catching it underneath is Horowitz. Popped off. And put deep. This is going to invite some pressure. The disc hanging, massive humanity underneath. And well read and brought down by FIGJAM, by Koenig. Finds McLeod. We know what skill he has as a thrower. This time taking the simple option, going laterally, and taken again now to Koenig. Koenig to Bernard. Staniforth. Oh, bid coming in underneath from Sigelman. Wants to get the disc back desperately. Taking the little free reset. Trying to keep the disc moving. Leading McLeod into space. The stocky McLeod rips it into the wind. Agonizingly out of reach for Black Hands, and that throwing power works. Finds Chris Artibello, and FIGJAM makes it 3-2.
He's such an accomplished thrower. He is known in many, many circles for all of what he does off the pitch with Frisbee and the different ways in which he helps raise its profile. But right there, that's what got him famous in the first place. Brilliant attack up the line into the power position, and then a shot to the end zone. He is lethal whenever he gets that space, and it is a big part of the reason why FIGJAM get the break. An early advantage to the Canadians. Let's have another quick look here.
Yeah,
beautiful
McLeod
setup into the power position, and then there is the deep shot across.
I'm going to say that McLeod, you know, not just in ultimate, all around disc sports, just dominates as a thrower, and Artibello committing to the deep cut. Again, FIGJAM, everyone united in the cause. There is no strength without unity, as the Gaelic on the bottom of their uniforms will attest to.
And just for those who are curious at home, in Gaelic that is Ninyart Gukur Lechela.
I trust your pronunciation of that.
Well, I'm going to trust that there's not enough native Irish speakers on the stream to challenge it.
Fake it till you make it, right?
That's how we got that language to be revitalized.
So, FIGJAM a break up. Black Hands wanting to put in this offense just past the bidding Bernard. Again, bids left, right, and center. Frenzel, stoppage downfield.
So both teams showing how much it means to them, by how willing they are to lay their body on the line. And it has to be said, after the first point, which had a lot of bumps and a couple of grinds, we're starting to see a lot cleaner bids from the defensive side of the disc.
Classic ultimate player playing through all sort of injury. Oh, what a toe in that is as well. Somehow manages to get it in, and the defender caught napping as they sneak that one down the sideline to Brock.
I think that's a forgivable occasion for the defender to be caught napping. I don't know how he managed to toe his feet and stay inbounds. Really impressive. So Black Hands get the hold that they needed to avoid any true slide, but they are now off serve. So if FIGJAM can carry this into the half, they can cash it in for the extra point as a reward for taking D at the opening of the game.
3 apiece. Here's the replay. Just rises quickly, and the presence of mind just to get that back foot down there from Miller, and then just leaks towards this near side. You see him set that foot in bounds. A really nice wide pivot there to get it around the mark. Keep that throwing base nice and steady and stable as well.
Eric Brack picking up the score on the other side. So a bit all over the place right now, but the team's starting to tighten up, as that is a great offensive hold without giving up a break. The first one of those that we have actually seen from the Black Cans, and a great way to respond after going 3-2 down.
Yeah, and theoretically as well, with the wind blowing from towards the camera and slightly right to left, you'd think that would be the more difficult direction to go in. Apparently not.
We've seen this before in a lot of games that have happened here today. The upwind, downwind isn't quite as much of a factor, and then when you watch that pull coming across, it just pushes it out. It's not about the direction, it's about the timing and the blusteriness of the wind and how it just seems to pick a nemesis and ruin them for most of the game.
So with a pull out of bounds, Thornton from the brick mark goes towards the far sideline for Dobson. Back to Donald. One-on-one defense
from Black Cans, which is about what we expected, having talked to Reed Whitten before the game. Not that he's giving away their secrets. Put deep. This is well covered, and such is what's on the line. Do not give them any chance. Brack, having caught that goal, lays out to smack it to turf.
I gotta say though, Brack, you could have caught that, and you should have. You've already seen what happens if you make these defensive plays and you don't catch the disc. He could have very easily sent that macking towards the end zone. We've seen it happen plenty of times in other games today.
Low throw, that's going to be called down, and actually I think I agree with it. Ritten had it and then lost control as he contacted the ground. The ground strip jarred it loose, and thus the catch is deemed not to have occurred. Carroll going low. Russell, goes low. And hitting the ground hard is Thornton.
There are going to be some scraped knees and elbows for these men tomorrow.
Well, I'm pretty sure we will see various athletic tights with holes in the knees. Reset. Back to Russell. Russell continues around. Going for the classic dump swing here, FIGJAM. Fakes with the offhand. Thornton with a rising stall count finds a way to thread that one into the end zone. Given how all action some of the scores have been, that one feels slightly underwhelming, but it doesn't matter because it counts all the same. Or does it?
Well, they're going to go back to talk about it. You call it underwhelming, Benji. I call it fundamental. It's better to see from jamming it down the sideline and looking for that quick pop in the middle. There was far more expansive. There was a lot more swinging, taking their time, not forcing as many options, getting some decent separation off the Black Cans. But again, showing just how lethal they are with their throws once they're on the front corner of the end zone. Any centimeter of separation is a threat as they can just step and pop it in for the quick score. A lot of those turn into turnovers when you watch them, but it seems like FIGJAM are earning that name as they continue to just find the tiniest sliver of space and fill it with a score.
So FIGJAM, mostly from places like Vancouver, Calgary.
We've been specifically asked to give a shout out to Prince George. Now, I'm almost certain, because we should clarify this in case we've got any UK followers, that's a place and not that wee royal person.
I mean, I'm not even sure if we actually have a Prince George at the moment. I must admit there are things that I care infinitely more about, and that is pretty much everything.
Am I thinking of Boy George?
He's from where I'm from. Proud South East Londoner. I'm not going to reveal too much information in case I dox myself and get too many autograph hunters.
Always a threat.
Right?
When you live in our position.
And what a privileged position it is to be calling games like this. Grandmasters Open semi-final action. FIGJAM up a break on Black Cans. They lead 4-3. Sigelman finds Lou. Lou looking in the backfield. Little leading pass there to Miller. Wants to get it out of his hands quickly. Low to ground, but Okis Carroll makes the catch. Miller gets a bit of a bump on the mark. Goes to ground. I think he thought about seeing if he could get away to get that disc off while he was going back there.
And there's the big arcing shot to the end zone, collected with a beautiful layout catch. Life and limb on the line, but when there is a semi-final place up for grabs, there is only one response that Jonathan Frenzel is going to give you, and that is win.
Both sides have came to play, and that is a difficult catch, not only because he's reaching out for it, but it is so easy when you've got the disc in your hands like that on that layout to ground strip yourself on the landing.
Very, very true, and that's something about these diving clap catches, which you've seen quite a lot of in this game, that I really don't like, because quite frequently people will turn their hands and it's just so easy for it to drag and get taken away. If you're going for a layout, you're far better off just going to grab with two hands. But these players, they're willing to take that extra pain, take that right on the chest so that they can get the secured clap catch, and they are pulling it off right now. Black Cans tie it back up at 4-4, but let's not forget that is FIGJAM's advantage. They started on defense. They have the only break of the half so far, Benji. 4-4.
Yeah, as we mentioned, in case you weren't aware, these two sides met in the initial pools, and it was just a casual universe point win for Black Cans.
Casual, easy.
So, you know,
I mean,
not like it's anything to write home about, not like it was a, you know, an absolute classic of a game or anything.
No, no. In fact, I would advise people to switch over to the other stream because clearly this one's going to be a blowout.
So, sarcasm mode now switched off. Let's get back into action. Oh, the inside flick over to that far side of the field. Did not see that one coming. Interesting idea. This one, oh, I thought maybe it was overthrown, but actually saw the receiver downfield. Dobson thinks about the put. Oh, cheeky. Just floats that scuba up there to Ebert. Ebert back to Thornton. Very loud communication from the Black Can sideline. Spears it into Dobson. Dobson continues. Good throw location to Donald, getting it on the outside shoulder. After switching the forces, trying to make these FIGJAM throws, think about it, pops up, caught and dished off quickly, going now towards the far sideline, Dobson. Dobson wants to get this a bit more central, will do so with that throw to Knekel. Knekel squeezes it into Thornton, not quite in the end zone just yet. Goes into that ground check, which you don't need to do in whiff deferrals, but old habits die hard, I guess, and there is a call.
So we have quite an interesting question in the chat. How much ibuprofen do you think they take at half-time? I'm almost certain it has to be injected and taken intravenously at this point.
I mean, I take 2. I don't know about you. Oh, they mean the players. Oh, sorry. I joke. It's lozenges rather than ibuprofen. That one all popped up, tries to toe the line, and very spiritedly signalled a goal there by Lurs.
So 5-4 and just a nice little pop in from the end zone. FIGJAM are good at finishing it once they get into that position. A lot of the times you'll find people who just struggle and battle around trying to force it. They manage to get it into those spots. But what I will say is it looks like they're being successful in their attempts to jam it in there, as opposed to, say, swinging it around and trying to hit more open people. They're taking these risky pops, and they're working right now, but I don't know if they're going to keep working.
So there was a study done about a decade ago that was looking at one of the next-gen tours. You remember those, when they took some of the best college players in the States and took them around the best club teams? And it was looking basically at efficiency, and they found that a lot of teams, if you hit the sweet spot of being most likely to score, when you're kind of halfway between the brick mark and the end zone, when you get right on the end zone line, actually teams tend to struggle because the windows are so tight and so minute that either you force it when it's not quite there, or you constantly dump, swing, go backwards, and turn yourself over. And actually, why the next-gen team were very effective is because they used slightly more unorthodox looks that teams weren't perhaps ready and waiting for to hit those spaces. That little push pass into the front of the end zone there for the goal from Thornton is one such look.
So maybe drawing upon their experience, and even at this stage in the Grandmasters level, coming up with new ways to play the game, new ways to adapt to the challenges they've faced in the past.
There seems to be a very impartial observer in the YouTube chat.
I'd just like to say it is an honor, sir, to have you join us here in the YouTube chat.
Proud Catholic.
I'm, of course, referring to Timothy Smith.
Yep.
An honor, sir, to have you join us.
I don't know about his religion, to be fair. Low towards the far sideline. Nice break there into the hands of Worley. Gets the disc back. Runs that give go well. Now resets more centrally to Sigelman. Sigelman back to Worley, going every other. Frenzel, we've seen he can make big plays, but I don't think Black Hounds would mind if they just calmly worked it down. Popped back to Sigelman, going towards the break side. You can see that throw just catch the wind slightly, but reeled in easily enough by Hale, and that's going to be a little foul on the mark there from Brian Baker. Trying to get that out the oven too early.
That is undercooked.
Swung around. And another foul on the mark. People asking about rosters for the tournament. If you go to the tournament website, WMUCC.sport, and you click on the page there that says results, you can look at all the what's been going on at the tournament, and by clicking on a team, you can find all the stats for the whole roster. It's a hive of information, including results and spirit scores.
You can also find the results by going to the WMUCC Instagram page, and then in their info bio underneath, you can show how old I am, and that's what I call it. But in the little bio on that page, you can find a link directly to the results page that Benji is talking about.
You also can find our little game previews there as well. Tries to toe the line at the back of the end zone, does Frenzel. I wasn't so sure, but FIGJAM players on the sideline signalling goal. Again, good spirit between these two sides. 5 apiece.
Good spirit on display and some better ultimate. It's starting to get cleaned up as the game progresses. We're seeing a lot more offensive holds. They're basically just trading back and forth right now, but that trading, like I've mentioned a few times, benefits FIGJAM. They're the ones who've stolen the break. They're the ones who stand to gain the big advantage if they can carry this into half. It is currently 5-5, and I really haven't seen too much to separate these teams. Very similar in their approach to the game. They're trying to take what they can get, and when there isn't really something easily available, they put up something speculative, and for the most part, it didn't work in the first few points, and they're starting to clean up those offenses now.
Yeah, we're seeing what an effect that Nate Miller is having as a thrower. That is his 3rd assist already this game out of 5 for Blackhands and Highlands. And that goes in with 12, so now got 15 for the tournament, and just a customary goal thrown in for good measure.
I mean, you got to get one.
Well, you say that. Apparently you don't, because if you look at the FIGJAM stats, Thornton, who we've seen be an offensive presence with 2 assists this game to make 22 for the tournament, hasn't found his way into the end zone yet.
Maybe a positive curse of the commentator there, Benji?
Commentator's curse is not a thing. I will take this to my, hopefully not to my grave. It's a long way off. Please don't put that on the highlight reel. Dobson, little push off to Thornton. Donald dishing it off again in the centre of the pitch. This might be a travel, I think. Game advisor on the far sideline signals as such.
And retracted. Which is fair, so the disc will stay where it is and they will be allowed to play on. But the damage, in a lot of ways, is done as it slows the momentum of FIGJAM and gives Blackhands a chance to reassess and reposition themselves on the defensive end. Specifically, if you look into the backfield, the incredibly free figure of Justin Wilkes.
But can you get that all the way over the top? That is a tricky proposition. And actually, they're just going to be a bit more circumspect with it. Goes backwards. Kneckel to Russell. Russell spreading it across the field. Gets it on the chest of Wilkes. Wilkes central. Moving the disc quickly. Nice flow there from FIGJAM. Just sits this one out into space for Kneckel to attack. Kneckel wants to get it off that sideline. Thought maybe he'd overthrown it. But it's caught. And again, really trying to utilize the break side here, FIGJAM. Now redirecting traffic towards the near side of the field. Can he toe the line? That was mighty close.
We're going to have another look at it as the classic. Yeah, but look at the divot. Look where the divot is.
The chalk flew up.
So now we can have a look as we've got a future divot. Oh yeah, okay.
Oh, that is so tight. Annoyingly, the cone that marks the end zone might be just in the way. There is a game advisor there who can provide their perspective if asked. Their perspective is not a binding decision. The players can listen to it and agree to disagree.
Seems like they've agreed to call that a score. FIGJAM get another one on the board, 6-5. Another flawless hold as well. I mean, that's about as tight as they come.
I mean, there is, what, about a gnat's hair in between that, about in his foot and the line, if that is good.
There's a beetle's knee. But it was just enough space to keep him in bounds and keep FIGJAM on the offensive advantage.
6-5, with the score being called good in this all-North American matchup. trying to work out exactly where the foot is when control is established. We've got a lot of Black Hands and FIGJAM players looking around.
You know the amount of times in my life someone has said to me,
and actually, this is great because they'd come to the resolution on the field anyway, but all the Black Hand players, thanks to the super slow-mo, courtesy of our Ulti TV crew, look at it and go, you know what, fair play. I love that. I love that.
I love it when someone brings a lot of Black Hands to the same place that I'm at. Probably not in this context, but I mean, I'll take it.
I mean, in Ireland, I know what the Black Hand is full of. And it's full of bread, if you know what I mean.
I know plenty of people who are full of Black Hands right now. And let us know in the comments if you are here cheering for the Black Hands coming out of the Washington, D.C. area. Big shout out to everybody in the Washington Frisbee Club, Washington Area Frisbee Club, the WAFC,
yeah,
as we were told.
WAFC. I'd always had that, so something different, but depends on where you're from, I guess, and in what the context is.
Yeah, not a lot of people on the stream, I imagine, are big fans of Wigan.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that. Here we go, back in play with Black Hands, going down the sideline to Sigelman. Got that rather jazzy sleeve, compressing that right calf. Oh, sensational layout snag from Sigelman. And he rips the hammer deep. Maybe not the best option as the FIGJAM player was waiting for it. And Sigelman looked to the sideline and shook his head.
I love how quickly FIGJAM are just picking up these turns and going at it. They don't want to rest. No matter how badly their bodies may demand it of them, they are here to commit, as there is no strength without unity.
The foot is very much on the accelerator as they're looking deep, and it just about comes off to Staniforth. Continued on the end zone line. Koenig looking for another break for FIGJAM, ripped away, back by Sigelman. Way to earn the disc back for Black Hands. This game is stupidly hype out here, which is exactly what we wanted. Here's another deep put. This one I think might play towards the sideline. Wow, well recovered to knock that away from the FIGJAM D, and the defender is splayed, legs akimbo on the floor.
Chris Artibello with the absolutely massive bid to save possession and to keep the break advantage for FIGJAM alive. Also, can we just talk for a split second about that picked pocket on the end zone line? Exactly what you were talking about earlier with the stats that they looked into the Next Gen Tour. It gets a lot more dangerous, and there'll be a lot more action when we return after this timeout and a few messages from our sponsors.
Don't you dare go anywhere.
The ultimate things in life are free, and we're keeping it that way. Subscribe to keep up with the latest games, tournaments, and community content. Share it with your team and friends, and drop a like to help spread Ultimate to more people. Spread the word, spread the love. Ulti.TV.
Welcome back to Grand Masters Open semi-final action, FIGJAM versus Black Hands and Highlands.
Or as it's otherwise known, the Thunderdome. Two teams enter. Maybe half a team's going to leave, the way these two squads are throwing themselves around and committing to the cause.
FIGJAM coming in on offense, up 6-5 out of the timeout. WMUCC here in Limerick. Underneath, Artibello, who got that big block at the other end. Pressure ratcheting up. There's a break here if they can thread it through that window, which they can. Staniforth underneath. Pressure from Sigelman, but it still goes into Koenig's hands, and that one just does not.
An unfortunate bounce, but the disc was always heading down, a difficult one to corral. As they're going to just take a quick moment for a breather. I know sometimes you're watching these games, you're like, I wish there wasn't so many calls, or I wish the game flowed more. I could use a few more picks, if anything. Like,
It's okay, Lorcan. Take a breath. I've got you. Underneath, Otis Carroll. Finds Lou. Lou faking, remonstrating with players downfield. Gets it off to Miller. 3 assists already this game. This time, oh, the bid came through, but he threaded through the window. This one's going to flow. FIGJAM put enough pressure, the combination of Staniforth and McLeod combined to make sure that it goes to ground. Power goes central. In the hands of McLeod, through the only break so far. He wants to throw the second one as well, and he's got it in stride to Staniforth. McLeod is powering FIGJAM's D-line to their second break and a 7-5 lead.
Showing off the disc skills. It's another example of McLeod and his ability to spread that plastic all over the pitch in the same way he spreads our disc sports all over the world. Distribution at its finest, a 7-5 lead for FIGJAM, 1 point away from taking half and cashing in the free break that comes with starting on defense. And right there, I don't know if it was a matter of exhaustion or if it was a tactical decision, but FIGJAM started trying to isolate 2 cutters downfield and just have everybody else sit further on the sideline to give them extra freedom. Now, that might have been a tactical decision. It might just be that point was exhausting. It certainly tired me out watching. So we're going to take a quick break ourselves for a message from our sponsors.
Both sides breaking their huddle here at the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships, coming at you live from the campus of the University of Limerick, and we are here for the Grand Masters Open semi-final.
And this game and this whole tournament brought to you by the WFDF, as well as Discraft, your finest quality discs for all over the world. Send it spinning, as well as VC, who've been supplying top quality players with top quality gear ever since 1998.
And VC are the official tournament suppliers with very fashionable, stylish gear for this tournament, including the jerseys that you're seeing all the crew wear, whether it's the green game advisors, the orange volunteers, or our purple media jerseys. And, as always from VC, exceedingly comfortable.
You want to talk about comfort? Well, you can travel in comfort if you're using a Greatest bag, the #1 option for players who are getting around to tournaments all over Europe and America, all over the world, really. The #1 bag option for ultimate players, Greatest bag.
Back on offense now, with Black Hands trying to bag themselves another point. Nearly a layout block on the pass to Brooks. Brooks looking deep, sends it over the top. Not in the end zone just yet, it's Horowitz. Can he find the pop-off? They've got to play a wide open on this side if they can find it, or they just might find Worley instead for the score, and 7-6.
No whirlwind spinning around in the end zone and picking up that point for Black Hands, and they really needed it. They've given up 2 breaks so far in this half, so they are going to have to put out a strong D-line, which isn't quite what they had in mind initially coming into this. They wanted to be able to run down their opponents. They wanted to enter into a war of attrition, use their bigger numbers. That isn't as effective when you're chasing the game. They're going to have to put out a big, powerful D-line and stop FIGJAM from taking this advantage into the half. I personally, Benji, and I'd love to get your opinion on this, would like to see them throw out a different look on defense. We haven't seen much apart from standard match, and that doesn't mean necessarily going straight into zone, but as we're going to have another quick look at that lovely finish.
Yeah, maybe you say, okay, we'll sag off the handlers a bit more to clog lanes downfield. If they come out in a vertical stack, maybe we surround that slightly, get players sitting in those spaces and pick up those cuts as they develop. Try and maybe second guess the offense, or at the very least, make them think for an extra second or two, because let's face it, at this point, it's unlikely that you're going to throw anything that they've never seen before. But as long as you can have a split second where maybe they're working out what they need, or there's just a player in a space where they're not expecting, you can maybe get a cheeky turn.
That's it. Every extra second they have spent thinking counts as hesitation, and hesitation is the enemy.
Konechal with the upline cut is Thornton. Tries to slow himself down. Jacks it past the bidding defender. Chasing it to the far side of the end zone. Oh my word. If Wilkes had got that, I would have just walked out of the booth.
I think if he would have managed to reel that one in, you just go game. All right, we're only playing a half. It's over. Huge bid. Heroic effort as we see that throw is an uncontested foul, which makes sense. Throwing through the force and oh!
He got his hand to it
How?
as well.
How? Well, it's going to go back anyway. Fouled on the Huck release, which really begs the question, how do you get a Huck to go that well out of your hand if you get fouled as well?
Just get good, in my opinion.
I mean, I've tried that and it didn't work. Do you have a second option?
No. It's just hours and hours throwing. There's no substitute for practice.
Ah, man, I really wish there was. What about
I know,
sitting
me
down
too.
and doing nothing?
Right?
No, it's got to pre-practice. If you're listening, all of the youth players, all of the experienced players, I'm sure you know these people as coaches, mentors. It is all about practice. It is all about heart right now. And for FIGJAM, it's all about unity.
Oh, this throw is airmailed to the center of the field. Coming out of the maelstrom is Jeremy Ebert. But it's almost inevitable that there's a bit of argy-bargy underneath there, and this might result in a call.
It's going to be an interesting one to see. I always feel a little bit difficult when people call fouls in that situation, as FIGJAM look to storm their way into the half with an 8-6 lead.
So if there was a call, it was swiftly retracted. Thornton, 22 assists already this tournament. Io break, finds Wilkes. Wilkes back to Thornton. Getting wide, moving the mark around, or the bid just about dislodges it from Andrew Donald, but he stays firm and strong and gets bumped on the mark by Witten.
Gives Witten just but gives him a moment to just examine what's going on, plan out their next move, as we've got another pick called. And it's very tight offensive movement, which is understandable given the way the wind is blowing across the pitch.
Yeah, but we've seen that they've got the throwers, so maybe you would benefit from stretching it a bit more. Player poaches off. There is the blade to the far side, but it's too risky. And instead, you can just lead it into the end zone.
What did I say? You got to get one goal.
And what does it cost him? Might be a Pyrrhic victory for FIGJAM and John Thornton.
Well, much like the fact that people never mention Icarus also flew, a Pyrrhic victory is still a victory, as we are going to, that's still going to count, so it is 8-6, FIGJAM taking half, and they're going to come back out on the other side of half with the one goal, with the offensive advantage, receiving the disc and trying to cash it in to extend here in the semi-final.
Right, chance to do the old 2 for none, 2 possessions back-to-back without the opponent getting the disc. I loved as well that Brock was there, just making sure that Thornton was not going to be too badly affected, just making sure that he got that little fist bump handshake before moving off. So the score counts, and your halftime score will be FIGJAM 8, Black Can 6.
So, everybody in the chat, just before we go away for halftime ourselves, what do you think the final score will be? We'd love to see your opinions when we return in just 5 short minutes.
See you there.
The ultimate things in life are free, and we're keeping it that way. Subscribe to keep up with the latest games, tournaments, and community content. Share it with your team and friends, and drop a like to help spread Ultimate to more people. Spread the word, spread the love. Ulti.tv.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, LTV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
fund
our
our
work
work.
to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Last time I warned y'all, now this time I'm just sending shots. Thought that I was some yes man, about to show y'all that I'm really not. Me and mine was really on the bottom, and we
And welcome back, everybody. The second half will be underway shortly as we are looking at these two teams battle it out for a place in the final of the Grandmaster Division, which we will be showing as well. Hi to everybody at home, in case you were wondering what we look like. I know you weren't, so we'll get right back to the action.
But the one thing that does do is it helps to get across quite how windy it is, because you can see my hair going all over the place.
Your beautiful locks blowing in the wind. And we want to give a quick shout out to somebody who's in the backroom staff of the commentary crew. That is the inimitable Charlie Mercer, who has been putting in quite the shift for us. She set the stream ablaze with a game she called earlier on in the week with Troy Weston. That was absolutely fantastic.
That was the it was Molly Gray up against Lowercase.
Yes,
yeah,
it was.
Highly recommend going to check that out.
An amazing game, made all the better by the wonderful commentary by Troy and Charlie. Charlie has also provided us with some fantastic facts, including the MVP of Black Cans.
Well, probably, this is kind of counterintuitive. The most valuable player is probably not actually a player. Oh, I'll tell you what the P stands for. Physio.
Most valuable physio, because we've got to give a shout out to Vinny, the physio that Black Cans hired for this week. Who has been literally holding them together.
Explains all the various tape and knee braces that we're seeing, to be honest.
As the team has collectively, between them, torn 42 ligaments, which, as I'm a huge fan of Douglas Adams, I personally see as a sign that the universe is working with them.
Maybe that was the question.
How many torn ligaments does it take to win Grandmasters Worlds? The answer, 42.
What did they decide in the end? Because we blew up the earth before they worked it out. Something like how many roads must a man walk down?
No, the answer is actually what is 8 multiplied by 7. Or the question is, what is 8 multiplied by 7? The answer being 42. And then obviously Arthur Dent's response. I always knew there was something wrong with the universe.
Yeah. Hashtag maths.
Quick maths.
FIGJAM up 8-6 on Black Cans here in this Grandmasters Open Division semi-final here at the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships, live from the University of Limerick. FIGJAM receiving to begin the second half, already up a couple of points, and Thornton, who took a heavy landing at the end of the first half, is on and throws a bomb to begin that Dobson reels in under tight pressure. This FIGJAM O-line is playing out of its skin.
By which we mean they are leaving a lot of epidermis on the field with bids like that.
Again, and you're seeing players from both sides going to ground. Thornton gets it up line. You know what he wants. He just can't stop it. This throw has the wrong edge on it, but it is reeled in anyway by Ebert. Ebert trying to go short. Russell. Back to Thornton. Thornton across the end zone in stride for Wilkes. Classic lateral movement. And then eventually you get that slashing cut open up. FIGJAM extending their advantage at 9-6. And you just see there how important it is that hold going into halftime, because they receive coming out of it. And another clean offensive point for FIGJAM to extend their advantage.
And a much better offensive set in front of the end zone. The dump, swing, hit the open side, as we see that incredibly impressive grab. I honestly thought one of the Black Cans defenders was going to clean that up. And the big bid, so much defensive pressure, so much intensity here in this semi-final matchup. There's the swing across the pitch. The fake to move the defense to the right side, and they're just going to dump and swing and hit him on the opposite end. And just lighting up the stat sheets is John Thornton. I believe that's his 3rd assist of this game.
Yeah, and that goal that took us into half as well. His first goal of the tournament, and now 23 assists.
So 24 stats in total as here come Black Cans, looking to fight back into this matchup.
Faking the deep look of their own. Cutter clears out towards the break side. Frenzel comes underneath, but they're not looking at that. Instead, they're going back into the backfield. Showing a scuba for a little bit there, struggling to get their cutters free downfield. A couple of cutters go to the same space. That's part of the problem. Sigelman on the far side. Behind the laying out receiver, and FIGJAM will knock that to the turf and quickly pick it back up again. Bernard to McLeod, multiple-time world overall champion. Thrown both of their breaks so far. Will he throw a third? Into the end zone, past the bidding Sigelman to make it 10-6. FIGJAM putting on a clinic out there.
They are starting to pull away now. Bobby Staniforth picking up that goal in the end zone. Another break for FIGJAM. This one not thrown by Rob McLeod, but I'm sure he's plenty happy to celebrate it. A 4-point difference, putting some separation between them as they continue to fight. So FIGJAM showing some serious intent coming out here in the second half. 2 points on the bounce, 10-6 the lead, and there's the shot to the end zone. Spiegelman really put his body on the line, but maybe a lesser player, by which I mean myself, would have been spooked by that bid, but Bobby Staniforth is more than that. 40 years old, playing for 12 of those years, currently based out of Calgary, and he started playing back in university intramural sports. His sporting hero is Mike Grant from Vancouver. He was dominant when he first started playing. And we want to give a quick shout out to the Calgary junior men's team, who Staniforth was an assistant coach for back in 2018.
Some veteran figures of Canadian Ultimate out there on the field this weekend. This entire week, in fact. It just feels like it's flown by so quickly.
Indeed. And it must be a Thursday. I never could quite get the hang of Thursdays.
No, me neither. It's just Thursday's a new Friday, that's what I heard. Jogging to the brick mark is Miller. Been the main offensive engine with 3 assists. Brock down the sideline to Frenzel. Frenzel swinging the disc. There's a little seam for the inside. Oh, Miller bobbled, but caught it anyway. Good focus to retain possession. Fakes the first flick, takes the second. Gesquier makes the catch underneath, known to many, of course, as Dutchy, coach of multiple title-winning programs in many divisions, thinking about Scandal, Revolver, and also some US national teams. I think this is the first time I've ever seen him play, although I've seen him on the sidelines on myriad occasions.
It's great to see so many players who are so prominent in the coaching, in the development, in the growth of our sport, have committed so much, getting to come out here and show exactly how they got into the positions that they currently hold.
Miller going back to Brock. Coming underneath Otis Carroll. Otis Carroll finds a way to find Miller. Miller to the front of the end zone. Is Frenzel in? There might be some discussion about this. They're going to signal it a goal. First hold of the second half for Black Hands. They were 6-7 down at one point, and then a 3-point run kind of took it away from them a little bit by FIGJAM, but Black Hands are back on the board, reducing the deficit to 3, and we're seeing it again now on the replay as well. Just Miller finding that little soft spot to get it into Frenzel, who toes the line for the score.
Nicely done by Black Hands, and they needed that to stop the bleeding. They had at that point conceded the previous 3 scores, one before the half, which was an offensive hold, the offensive hold coming out, and then of course that break that we saw just mere moments ago. So Black Hands far from out of this game, and they have prepared as well as they can for this matchup and for their time in Ireland, allegedly so far.
What do we have the total at? 527 points?
Which is a suspiciously specific number. Like, you shouldn't count drinks unless you're going to try and break a record. I don't know how you keep track of that many pints of Guinness.
With an abacus, I think. I was going to say calculator, but that might be too modern and newfangled for these guys. Nice deep ball, fielded low to the ground, and so is the first pass of the possession to Thornton. And here is a defensive look that's a bit different. You were asking for it, Lorcan, and we're seeing a junk out of Black Hands. This was not in their game plan, but such is FIGJAM's offensive prowess that it's required. That bid is late into the back of Kanekal.
Immediately apologizing. Of course, this is one of those instances where it is actually better to seek permission than ask forgiveness.
Yeah, probably like to see that one shelved, I think, but Jay Brooks apologizes for the contact. And Kanekal checks it back in. Finds Thornton, wants to thread that one through. Heber just sits in that soft spot. Goes back to Kanekal, trying to keep the disc moving with a little bit more pace now, perhaps. Thornton, he's got swing options available, plenty of them. And they work it, sealing a few yards as they go all the way to the other sideline to Dobson. This zone tries to trap them there. The scuba over the top is a nice little release valve, though.
I feel like when you're placing a cup on people, it is all about trapping them on the sideline. And those scubers, especially on the high side.
As Thornton rips this deep, an extra set of a throw to the back of the end zone for Justin Wilt. A missile makes it 11-7.
And that's the issue with setting up that kind of a zone on the high side of the pitch. With the side wind, you want to allow them to get those swings across, pressure them so they can't get the shot off before they reach the sideline, and trap them there. Blackhands, I feel like, made a fatal error in trapping them on the wrong sideline, allowing them to get that break, like with the scuba. And with the wind as it is, the scuba is a really effective tool for carving up zones, setting people in power positions. And these kind of players with that kind of space, they're going to send some picture-perfect shots. Beautiful throw to the end zone and the waiting hands of Justin Wilkes. Justin Wilkes has been very impressive so far in this game. That is his second goal to go along with the 2 assists he's picked up already.
The risk with the zone is when you commit multiple defenders really close to the disc, is that if you can get out of that little trap that they've set, that's aiming to ensnare you and the disc, you can get players in space, and as you saw there, getting a player like Thornton an opportunity to throw without really any pressure on a mark.
Risky.
It's a dangerous proposition, yeah.
Risky business. I mean, if you want to be known for mergers and acquisitions, you've got to be safer in your general practice. And that time, they fell short.
Yeah, the checks and balances evidently not working as they should be, as, I mean, someone clearly had their, what's the Irish equivalent of Weetabix?
Potatoes.
Someone clearly had their potatoes for breakfast this morning, as that is pulled well out the back of the end zone.
Only I'm allowed to say that, by the way.
Oh, sorry. I forgot that we starved you of those.
Moving right along quickly, before this becomes a different kind of tirade.
Miller wants to put this out. McLeod's on the back shoulder of Frenzel. Frenzel, oh, the drop on the reset pass that they could ill afford. Can they earn it back? Hale will try his utmost to do so. Presented by Bernard, back to McLeod.
And we know he's got a cannon.
He's thinking about the rip, he's going for it. Oh, it was spicy, it was ambitious, and somehow it's caught, but I think this is, they're calling it a goal as well. No, they're calling it out of bounds.
Out of bounds.
I saw hands go in the air, but obviously it's just to say that the transition of play had happened. If Sunnyfield had come up with that, who knows?
That could have been curtains.
As that one pops right up, Wolzanovsky tries to get over the top and knock it away. And I think this might be a foul called.
Well, I think he got a little bit too much back of the head along with the disc on that occasion.
Of course, a lot of these players will be familiar with the USAU rule set, which is different from WFDF in terms of how much and when contact occurs. Because he definitely does get the disc first, but he brings that arm right down onto the head of his opponent. And I'd say that is more than incidental.
Incriminating, even.
Swing goes to Sigelman. Sigelman Hale. Goes to Miller. Low release requires the layout, and it's just too far. Rolls out of the hands of Horowitz. Another chance for a FIGJAM break. Low, flicked forward. Baker. Going backwards. And trying to rip that on a little bit behind. You could see there what they were aiming for, but the placement was off target.
And it's so difficult if you're going to expose the underside of the disc even slightly to that gusting wind. You're going to have to put a lot of spin, and that's antithetical to somebody trying to get an easy catch in the end zone, as Black Cans get another bite at the cherry and hoping to keep their chances alive of making this final.
Horowitz has a player wide open in Lou, or adjusts well to make the catch that was behind him, and in a little bit of trouble here is Lou. Has to take the injury sub.
I was about to ask, in lieu of what? But no.
Wow.
Way Lou picking up the disc. We hope he will be okay. He's being helped off the pitch by some of his teammates. That's going to be another trip to Vinny, I imagine, as we see coming on to take his place, Paul Butterfuss.
Yeah, and looks like Wilkes is subbing in as well for FIGJAM.
You got to take those subs when you get the opportunity.
Butterfoss, with the stall rising, gets a really tight upline throw off to Miller. You can see really compressed this offense at the moment. That will open things up a little bit. The break around. And now they've got a little bit more flow, getting the disc off on on quicker stall counts, I should say. But now the stall is ticking up a little bit. Sigelman slides to turf. Miller, that sweatband on his right wrist, flowing in towards the end zone, and Butterfoss proves to be an effective addition as he pops it to Frenzel at the front of the end zone. And 11-8, FIGJAM, multiple opportunities for the break there. They just couldn't make it work.
A chance to put this game to bed, but instead the Black Cans and Highlands are up and rowdy, ready to go. We're going to have another look at this nice finishing sequence. Rather than trying to force it in, they're just taking their time, and there's Foss with a nice leading pass, comfortably and well taken down by number 71, Jonathan Frenzel, for his 4th goal of the game, showing you just how lethal he is, using that acumen, using that skill, that experience, and that explosiveness to find the space in the end zone and keep Black Cans in this matchup. 11-8. I like the fact they tried a different defense in the second half. It might not have worked out too effectively, but like we were talking about, you've got to try and find ways to introduce hesitation into your opponent's offense, especially when it's so based on this speed and this quick fire that FIGJAM pick it up and they go and they go and they go. If you can make them just stop for half a second, it will throw them out of sync with everybody else on the pitch, and those are the mistakes that give you a chance to capitalize on and fight your way back into this one.
Here's a fun fact that's coming through the YouTube chat. Thanks to everyone watching, by the way, on the World Flying Disc Federation YouTube channel. You can get involved with the chat as well by subscribing. Apparently, Thornton had a speaking role in Back to the Future 2 with Michael J. Fox, which was also starring alongside a young Elijah Wood, also had a minor speaking role in that film. There you are.
Always learning when Benji's on the mic, whether it's Ultimate, whether it's life, you gotta listen.
So here is Thornton. Wants to send it back deep again for Wilkes, his favourite deep target. This time he's not quite in the end zone. Wanted to milk it in, but it wasn't there. Dairy temporarily closed. So now FIGJAM going low outside the end zone, but going to ground, but keeping that back foot in bounds is Russell. Second score to go along with 2 assists. 12-8 FIGJAM. Black Hands really struggling to turn over this O-line for FIGJAM. That actually, this FIGJAM O-line hasn't turned it over since they scored to make it 3-4. How's that for clinical?
Really, really impressive. FIGJAM have just gotten tighter and tighter on the offensive end while they've been working through this game. And then the same on the defensive end, able to get those breaks out of the opportunities they create just through their oppressive hunting defense. But it will be interesting to see if their shorter lines, their smaller squad, starts to show its weaknesses as this game progresses. We're going to have another quick look here, and it's just something else on display by John Thornton. His ability to dish that disc all around the pitch, and then for a quick finish in the end zone. So if you are in the YouTube chat, please lift your voices, or I suppose put down your keyboards and stamp out those messages of support. You've got to raise it up. Everybody loves a Black Can when they're in Ireland, but we want to see that love coming from all over the world as here they come trying to fight their way back into this matchup.
Miller catches the centering pass off the pool, set up an isolation on this near side to Frenzel. Frenzel wants the deep, oh! Horowitz stopped, planted to come under, but the throw had already gone.
And that's the hesitation we're talking about. It's just on the wrong side for a team trying to fight their way back into it. If you look off a deep shot, you very rarely get a second chance at it.
So can FIGJAM find another break? Oh, the huge upwind hammer come off it. Ridiculous, right in Staniforth's hands. Pops it into the end zone, quite rightly celebrated by Dobson. But that is all about the throw from Bauer, because that was a rainbow. Glorious, glorious, glorious.
That is Bauer with a wower. Because you know what's better than just throwing a standard backhand hook? A nice casual 3/4 pitch length leading pass hammer. To all the kids at home watching on the west coast of Canada, and as well everybody joining us in the DC area, that's how it's done. If your coaches ever tell you don't throw a hammer, you just say, I believe in the power of Bauer, and you launch that bad boy.
I mean, like, I could practice for till I'm old enough to play in Grandmasters, and
What,
I would
another month?
Settle down, and I would never be able to throw that.
I'd be able to try.
I mean, yes, I'd be able to try. Doesn't mean I'd be able to do it.
Attempt is 9/10 of the law, Benji. Wait.
I think you might need to brush up on your legalese.
Yeah, well, if it's called legalese, then why is it so difficult?
Just say allegedly and you're fine, right?
Allegedly, that was a good play, and everybody should try and copy it regularly
Right.
next time they're trying out for an elite level team.
Frisbee's supposed to be fun. Go out there and enjoy throwing, and you can tell that FIGJAM enjoyed that one. Miller making the underneath cut. Brock looks for options, wants to squeeze that in. There's never a window there.
Yeah, it seems like when FIGJAM close a door, they tempt you with a window, and then they also close that window.
Bernard picks it up. Hammer one way, thumber the other, maybe? Maybe not.
Tactically speaking, that's the correct choice.
I would be surprised. Getty in. Dishes off to Bernard. Doing a good job at the moment after the turn of making sure this offense isn't really going anywhere. But as I say that, they get a nice little leading pass. Catch Worley on the wrong side. You can tell there's a little bit of fatigue in the legs from both sides. And maybe Black Hands are feeling it more at the moment. Or you could maybe, Baker thought that, you know what, whatever you can do, I can do better. But instead he goes underneath. Staniforth pots off to Bernard. Wants to get it into the center of the pitch. Artibello takes a little bit of a bump on the mark.
Bit of contact there. I just want to give a shout out to Artibello for that fantastic dump cut. Really going up the line and committing and then stopping, and just that moment where you stop and you feel your defender just move past your back. It's a liberating moment. It's like turning 18 for the first time.
Hey Charlie, just because you're not here at the fields doesn't mean that you can back chat us. Lorcan's actually good at frisbee, by the way. Continuing towards the far sideline, looking for Bernard, but I think for basically the first time all half, FIGJAM make a mistake, and it's immediately put deep, looking for Frenzel, makes the catch under tight coverage, wants to swing it to Lou, he's down. Did he keep that up? It was awkward, but it worked. And Lou, threads the needle into Sigelman for the score, but it is... the Scoville scale at the moment of this game is right up there.
I've just got to say these guys would have done well in the Dutch East India Trading Company, because they are a batch of spice merchants. But there's still plenty to play for. Wei-Lu showing you why he has been such a prominent rec league captain, as well as obviously his incredible work working to grow the sport of ultimate and coaching so many players all across the world, especially in Madison Club, Pfaff, Electric Pig, Eastern Motors, Unambiguously Grey. He has helped out just about everywhere he goes, increasing the sport, increasing the joy, and increasing the membership. It's fantastic to see. We already mentioned this last time they were on the stream, but I want to give another shout out. His sporting hero, The Worm, who is also a hero of mine. It's a great dance move. It's a fundamental part of any healthy soil ecology. What more could you want?
I will say there is some very funny banter going on in the YouTube chat, but I absolutely will not repeat because I will get fired. Right? I had exactly the same reaction. You can't be doing that to us. Come on now. Behave.
We're trying to be professional here.
Simmer down, lads. I say that as a gender-neutral term.
Homies. Great gender-neutral term. While there's a quick call, I do want to say, homies, it's the perfect gender-neutral term. Frisbee is for absolutely everybody, much like the music of the Insane Clown Posse, although Frisbee is far more liked.
I will say, feels a bit more accessible. Thornton again looking deep, and again he finds Wilkes. Black Hands have just not been able to stop that connection. Reset to Thornton. What's he got in the locker this time? Going back, Nike, little inside break there to Donald. Donald looking, wants a little pop off to Thornton, who's been immaculate this game. Shoots to the end zone, and the high throw. Not a problem at all for Hebert. His offensive impact has been felt this game, but didn't have a stat till his name until then, as he catches, and FIGJAM 1 point away from the finals, 14-9. They have just put on a blockbuster performance.
Thornton is an absolute maestro. He's conducting an orchestra of offense out there right now for FIGJAM, and they are coming together at just the right time. The last time these two teams met, it was a universe point battle. And I'm not saying that that is an impossible scenario right now, but the way FIGJAM are playing, they are looking right down the barrel of a finals berth and the glory that awaits them tomorrow afternoon.
So the other semi-final has wrapped up. I will not tell you who won it in case you want to go and watch it back at your leisure. But with one final berth decided, FIGJAM are 1 point away from taking the other. The one thing I will tell you is that it'll be an American team, because the other final was the other semi was Johnny Walker versus Surly.
So we're not really giving away too much there. Americans dominating in a lot of these scenarios. It's mostly American teams in the semi-finals that we've seen so far, although that's not to say there's been a few Canadians, especially on the women's side. The Canadians have been doing incredibly well. And also we even got a French team in the Masters Open semi-final.
We do indeed, but generally you see the countries with longer, more established ultimate programs like the USA and Canada make that impact felt in the elder age brackets. Wow, that's some gift go by Lou. You could see him straining as he released it.
That's quite the look by Lou.
Straining and stretching every sinew. There is going to be coming in on stalling 1, the lowest possible here.
Sneaky veteran move by Lou there, keeping the disc behind his back so it can't be tapped in before he is ready.
Lou goes up line to Sigelman. Instantly recognisable with that right calf compression sleeve. Miller wants to rip this against the wind. Thinking about the spice, instead plays something a bit more mayo. Instead with the underneath pass to Horowitz. And there's no collection because Frenzel was clearing out of that space.
A difficult one, a miscommunication that might cost them this tournament as McLeod loads up.
Yeah, McLeod just takes the sensible option to Bernard this time.
Boo.
Well, oh,
see?
Wow, the drop from Bauer. That has been so uncharacteristic with the way FIGJAM have played today. Not that Black Hands will care one iota. Going short, oh, catch your D's! Catch your D's! Oh, that happens. It was an incredible bid from Staniforth and an equally ridiculous play from Horowitz to rescue it for the score. What is going on out here?
I don't know how many times we have to say it, but there are some situations where you can understand Staniforth,
I mean,
incredible, but Horowitz somehow collects that one.
It is mean in the extreme, punishing Staniforth for that, but you've got to credit how switched on Horowitz was there, because that disc should have been gone, but all that, you know, those silly games you play on the sidelines, all that flutterguts practice coming in handy.
That's a quick shout out for Flutterguts, which I genuinely think is a really good way to practice trying to grab bobbly discs. I don't really care where you play. Discs are going to bobble at some point. So if you can get used to going after those difficult, moving, flipping discs, it can really help you set up for those kinds of situations. And think about the glory that awaits you. Horowitz somehow corrals that one. Like Benji said, it seemed destined for dirt, much like their championship hopes. But he collects it, pops it in, 14-10. It's a long way to Tipperary, Benji, but it is, well, it's not worth the trip in real life.
How long is it to Tipperary?
Well, it's actually about half an hour. Newport's just out that road.
Oh, that's not far at all.
No, not from here. So maybe they can do it. It's not that long a way to Tipperary, Benji.
Their hearts are right there in the final. Grandmasters Open semi-final here. Reminder that all of these players are in their 40s. How ridiculous to be this good.
Honestly, if I'm still walking when I'm 40, I think most of the people who know me will be surprised. I certainly won't be capable of competing at this level of ultimate.
Yeah, these players are better than... These are the sort of players that we looked up to when we started playing, and they are absolutely showing why.
I still look up to them today.
Yeah, honestly, I love Masters in all the various age brackets, because it's players doing it for the love of it, showing exactly what it's all about. Donald. FIGJAM 1 point away from victory. Thornton has been a rock. 5 assists this game, and his first goal of the tournament. 25 assists this week. What a player. High release backhand is a bit behind. And I cannot believe I'm saying this. FIGJAM's O-line turned it over.
I mean, they haven't done it with any real frequency since the start of the game, but Blackhand's hoping they can do it a lot more now in the end. Huge grab.
Did they mean that? Maybe not. Visionary as a flying layout block comes through. There is a foul called on the throw, so I think that bid is all in vain from Donald, but we can still admire it regardless.
We got it on camera, so it's not entirely in vain. In fact, if vanity is your goal, it was perfect. .14-10, and here comes the action again.
So coming in off the stoppage, Brooks gets the reset off to Butterfoss. Butterfoss uncorks the big blade deep, and it's well defended there by Russell, who's clearly been spending a lot of time in the library to read that and knock it away. Probably spent more time in the library than any player at this campus, because let's face it, I was a student once, didn't get much use out of it.
Yeah, the library, one of the more neglected parts of Europe's premier sporting campus here at the University of Limerick, as we are going to see, I believe that was a timeout by FIGJAM. Yes, it was. So, as the tension mounts and as Destiny curls her index finger so delicately towards the Canadians, beckoning them to the potential glory of the final tomorrow, they say, let me just take a moment and gather myself. This could be the last possession before the big game tomorrow. So let's see how they respond when they come back with us after this short break.
Welcome back to the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships here at the glorious green fields at the University of Limerick, the natural amphitheatre surrounding our showcase field for the Grand Masters Open semi-final. FIGJAM with the disc up 14-10, 1 point away from a finals berth, and Thornton uncorks the deep ball again, trying to track it all the way to the near sideline, and it blazed out of reach. Dutchy Gesquier picks up. Butterfoss, to Helvin, who fumbles.
So an unfortunate quick turnover, in FIGJAM are going to try and go back down this pitch. And who else to lead them there but John Thornton?
Yeah, now having thrown his first turnover of the game, wants to see if he can make amends, gets it in short order. Looks, tries to go for the backhand blade, it's floating again, and climbing the ladder to knock it away is Butterfoss, but a foul is called, to much disapproval from many of the spectators in attendance.
You can hear it echo like the Colosseum of old. The thumbs are down, and they believe that that should absolutely go to the incredible Paul Butterfoss and his attempt to save Blackhand's hopes for the future. Of course, again, another message for all the young players listening, watching their coaches. You should never give in to peer pressure. You know, unless it looks really fun.
The thing is, like, stuff is cool sometimes. Here's the thing, is that I lost my train of my
You might be able to overhear Rob Lurs, who came over to check our screen. A lot of the American players aren't quite used to being able to refer to the video evidence. It's the same as anybody who has perspective. You can come over, gain your perspective from the video evidence, then go and offer it to the people on the pitch, but you cannot interject in the play. So all you can really do is walk over with your hand up as if you're another member of their team, normally within the rules of the sport.
So the call was retracted, not because the crowd didn't like it, but because they talked about it. Of course, what the crowd thinks should not really have a bearing on any of these calls. That throws a bit behind Butterfoss, and it couldn't be reeled in by Brock either. Looking down the line, Russell, this FIGJAM's offense looking a little bit ragged, maybe. It's getting slightly impetuous with the game near to its end. Queven go on the move into the end zone, trying to get it around the layout, doesn't get there for FIGJAM.
I think if any Canadians are watching that, they're going to see the ghost trip on that play. It's so difficult. It was a nice bit of vision, but ultimately getting tangled up in his own gravity.
I think that's 3 turns for FIGJAM so far this point. That's more than their O-line had previously turned it over all game. I think the nerves might be getting it to them slightly.
They are right on the doorstep of the final.
Here's a blade deep, undercooked.
Fortunately, a lot of Black Cans throws are getting to them as well.
Thornton picks it off, has the disc back in his hands now, with Witten trying to make a menace of himself on the mark. It's broken around. Bid comes in, lands late, but possession retained. Good focus under pressure. Thornton surveying his options, just being circumspect with it, playing it with Russell in the backfield. Thornton demonstrating where he wants players to move. Nice upline cut there from Koneckel. Everything seems to be a little bit static and stagnant downfield. Scuba leads towards the break side, trying to unlock a little bit of space. Back in Thornton's hands. Thornton going for the low release break. I think the throw was down, but there might be a foul on the throw anyway.
Yep, looks like it's going to be an uncontested foul, I assume, so he gets the disc back, and he calls their second timeout of this point.
You can tell that everything, all the adrenaline is coursing through FIGJAM's veins at this point.
And maybe you need to just take a breath, take a step back, and really rethink what you're going to do. Like you said, Benji, they have equaled their previous total of turnovers in this game in this 1 point. So understandable that maybe we want to take a second to think about it. And we're going to take a quick second to show you a message from our sponsors.
The ultimate things in life are free, and we're keeping it that way. Subscribe to keep up with the latest games, tournaments, and community content. Share it with your team and friends, and drop a like to help spread Ultimate to more people. Spread the word, spread the love. Ultimate.tv.
Welcome back to the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships. FIGJAM, after taking their second time out at this point, looking for the goal that would put them in tomorrow's final. Can they squeeze that one down the line? No! Bid comes across from the backside, knocks it there. There was a lot of contact underneath it.
That's Butterfoss again.
And they're going to say the turnover stands.
Twice now he has saved the game for Black Cans.
And I think there's going to be an injury call here.
And you've got to wonder, who can Black Cans bring on to help them step up? They go to Miller.
Butterfoss coming off. Clearly, you can see that shoulder looks a little bit out of whack. I do hope that he's okay. Miller comes on to try and power the offense after the turn. Meanwhile, for FIGJAM, Kaneko comes off, and on comes Bernard. On an injury substitution, of course, players have to leave the field, but in order to ensure that you don't get an advantage from it, the opposition, the team that didn't make the call, is allowed to make one substitution as well.
So the tactical substitution by FIGJAM as they hope to stop Black Cans and finish this game off, but they've been hoping to do that for about 10 minutes now.
It just will not happen for FIGJAM. Oh, spicy scuba over the top, but led into space well. Cutter comes underneath is Brooks. Brooks to Gesquier on the sideline. What can Dutchy find? It's the undercut. Plants it inbounds, does Miller. Tries to make himself wide. The inward pivot now to access the centre of the field to Gesquier. Continued around. Here's Witten. Witten looking deep. Oh, it's blading again, but well read. Brooks wants to pop into the end zone. First break of the game for Black Cans. We are certainly not done yet.
We are gonna keep going until this is all the way through. I don't hear any singing coming from the stands. All I hear is cheers. And all I see in the chat is the rowdy, rousing support from back home. We've got a matchup between the Washington, D.C. area and FIGJAM from west coast of Canada. As we see another look at that blade all the way down the pitch. Really well read, taken in, and then looking for the quick, soft pop and easy score. That was a very impressive read by Jay Brooks.
It was indeed. Those blades are always difficult to make the adjustment, especially if you look over the wrong shoulder.
Absolutely, and we want to give a quick shout out to Jay Brooks' daughter at home, Paisley, cheering him on. And we're going to need those cheers to lift Black Cans. I mean, it was a goal, it was a long point, but it's only 14-11. There is an awful lot more ultimate ahead of Black Cans if they want to fight back into this game and get it to Universe.
Been seeing a lot of love for both sides in the chat. And I think if you're a neutral, what you're probably cheering for is Black Cans to bring this back to Universe. As neutrals in the booth, of course, we have no opinion one way or the other. We're just excited to call the action.
Of course. And what an action-filled game it's been.
To say excited, actually, I don't think quite covers it.
Privileged.
Yes, absolutely. Honoured to be here at the University of Limerick. Coming underneath is Russell. Here's Thornton. Thornton is looking deep. There's a defender there coming over the top. Couldn't reel it in. Dobson. Good positioning there defensively from Platts Mills. And to many as Opie. Sigelman. Lou has it on the sideline. Back to Miller. Miller launches, unleashes even a kraken of a throw to the far sideline, but brilliantly defended by Koenig. Get this, his fourth block of the game.
And showing exactly how he does it. He turned on the burners. Great shot off to the break side, into space, trying to pass to Dutchy upon the right-hand side. But Koenig has other ideas, stepping through and knocking it away. The furious George veteran showing off. He's still got some speed left in them legs.
Yeah, bronze medal at WMUCC out in Sakai, Japan back in 2012. Thornton. Of course, Koenig trying to better that with a win here, but put him at least at a silver. Russell. Force sags off. Try and stop flow downfield. Resetting around the back, all low, just about scooped off the turf. I think there might be a call of down.
You can see the great show of spirit as both Black Cans and FIGJAM quick pointing that it's up.
Yep, and we're good to go again. Over the top, helixing, towing the line for the victory. And FIGJAM are in the final with a 15-11 win.
Hammer time. I mean, if you're trying to build yourself some championship aspirations, you gotta have the right tools. And as we've seen twice now in this game, a fundamental part of that box is the hammer. Fantastic stuff by FIGJAM. Really emphatic game, showing their strength in the middle, taking control. It got a little bit sloppy on that second last point. A lot of turnovers, a lot of tiredness, a lot of fatigue. But in the end, FIGJAM taking this one away by 4 points. We're going to have one more look at that double helixing hammer. But it was all about the space he put him into. And, I mean, the man throwing it is somebody you always expect to hit his target.
What a game from multiple players from both sides. But maybe MVP, perhaps, from an offensive perspective. John Thornton, 6 assists, taking into 26 for the week, plus his first goal of the week. From a defensive perspective, how about Aaron Koenig's 4 blocks?
I think I'd have to give it to Koenig. It was an incredible, incredible performance. I also think Butterfass absolutely deserves a shout-out. He was huge all game long. We certainly hope he is okay. Those 2 game-saving Ds were incredibly impressive and kept Black Can's hopes alive. Of course, now they can start really enjoying the Guinness.
Try and win the People's Final tomorrow, the 3rd place game. You've ever heard that? Because it means you can hit the party harder.
See, I thought the People's Final was the party. Of course, we decided this game in the People's Court, which is a colloquial term for the fields of the University of Limerick.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Did not know that.
That's because this is where we settle disputes. Of course, we're settling them with sport today and not
treaties.
Well, it's another way that we've settled disputes. This is the Treaty County.
Yeah.
We're very proud of the stone that was signed on. Just brief history lesson. Our history in Ireland is so filled with people coming over here and knocking us out that one of the things we celebrate is the time we got a draw. But there's no draws in Ultimate, only victory, only the glory of the championship, something FIGJAM are still in pursuit of as they head to the final tomorrow.
So day 6 of the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships is in the books. And that means on day 7, bracket play continues. And how does it continue? And I say continues. For some divisions, it doesn't just continue. It wraps up because our first finals start tomorrow.
So we have got a series of semi-finals to open the game up with on the morning of the 2 crucial fields. We're going to see Reboot Squad versus Lower Case in one semi-final of the Masters Women's. We have also got the 1-4 coming up in the GG Master Open. We're still waiting on results for that one. And then at 11 o'clock, we have got SOS versus Descent in one of the Masters Mixed semifinals. And on the other side, Cold versus Epoch. So a promising matchup as we've got, I believe, 2 Americans going up against 2 Canadians. So a guaranteed mixed nation final. We have the other women's semifinal at 1 o'clock. That's Stello versus Soar. My favorite team to say at this tournament. And then on the opposite side, we have Surly GMX versus Molasses Disaster.
That is your Grand Masters mixed final. And then at 3 and 5 o'clock, we have the 2 open Masters Open Division semi-finals. Voltron versus Is No Good and Boneyard versus Johnny Encore. And meanwhile, slightly delayed start on the other field for the finals at 1:30 rather than 1 o'clock. Surly Grandmasters Mix versus Molasses Disaster. At 3:30 is the Great Grandmasters Open Final. And then at 6 o'clock is the Grandmasters Open Final, featuring, of course, after this today, FIGJAM.
And where else would you want to be but here on the WFDF YouTube page, where we will be bringing you all of this top quality action from WMUCC for free. So, with so much left to come.
Right, it's been a privilege to be here with you for this game and for this week here at the World Masters Ultimate Club Championships in Limerick. This broadcast is copyright 2022 of the World Flying Disc Federation. So, for all of our Ulti TV crew here, for the one and only Lorcan Murray, what a blast it's been. My name is Benji Rees. It's a pleasure to say that thank you for watching us, and we will see you on the other side for Finals Day.
Ulti.tv.